Welcome to the GPLama YouTube channel and welcome to Zwift Play. Announced today, Zwift's purpose-built game controller, or game controllers, which allow you full access to the in-game experience and a little bit more without the need to take your hands off the handlebars. The Zwift Play devices are purpose-built for drop bar bikes at this point in time. They're Bluetooth connected and a USB-C rechargeable. That's the quick overview. Let's have a look at Zwift's tutorial to cover all the details on exactly how these work.
So once paired in-game, you will be presented with a tutorial, which is the best way to show you how these all work. Over there on the left, you have the arrow keys for menu selections or any in-game functionality that require arrow keys. And over there on the right, you have some action keys. A to select, B to go back. The front pedals themselves, once pulled outwards, will steer you in that direction. They're dual functionality each side. So you press in for braking, out for steering. Very interesting for the in-game experience. Over on the right-hand side and left-hand side, you have an intensity for your workouts, which you can bump up and down, which is your FTP bias. And there's also Y to skip workout block, which has come in very, very handy in the last few days for me. And something I've printed out and put on the wall of the Llama Lab is the Zwift Play button mapping. So the overview of exactly what everything does. Again, over there on the left, we have the direction arrows, which do a few different things depending on where you are in-game or in the menus. Down the bottom there, we have the orange steerers, both outwards and inwards do different things. Outwards steering, inwards braking, increase or decrease intensity with those external buttons on the device. And we have the 4 colored buttons for different actions in-game.
So the big difference for me between these and any other keyboard emulator that I've had on the front of the bike is that these are always paired to the game. So if I'm in another window and Zwift isn't in the foreground, these still work. Very, very handy. Look, these are initially launching in the UK, US and Europe for an introductory price of $99, euros or pounds. And after that beta testing phase, that price bumps up to $149 US, euro or pounds. The first part of this testing phase, as we saw in the tutorial there, is Repack Rush, which I've had a little bit of fun in the last few days since launch with these. All right, let's get on to installing these on the bike, some waterproof testing, and see how they go out on the virtual roads.
Installation on the drop bar road bike that I'm using just takes a few seconds each side with a silicone strap around the back and locking into place. My preference is to have them tilted up a little bit as well. Now this is based on the bar shape that I use, the hand size that I have, and the bar tape that's on the bike too. Everything's going to be a little bit different. That's my preference, but as you saw there, just a few seconds to set up on both sides. Now inevitably there's going to be a question about waterproofing. Here's my answer to that. The buttons are fully enclosed, so doing this doesn't really affect the device at all. Actually, it doesn't affect the device at all. I've sweated all over these. As you saw there, I've dumped the water bottle on them. The buttons still continue to work. No problems to date with sweat proofing or waterproofing of the Zwift Play. Okay, finally in game here and all paired up in a Llama Lab and navigating my way through the menu without taking my hands off the bars. Scrolling up here to the world selection, and we'll jump over to Mur and the Mountain, which will take me out Repack Ridge and onto the new Repack Rush course. Okay, heading out to Titans Grove, and the first thing of note when using the Zwift Play for steering is the response time is very, very fast with direction change. Arrow key test there. Yes, I can select Ocean Boulevard, then back to Titans Grove because that's where I want to head. But just swerving side to side, no notable lag at all, and is very, very quick. Now, if I was to press inwards on those buttons, or those tabs on the front there, I would be braking, but that's not in my best interest at the moment. I'm trying to head out to Titans Grove to hit Repack Rush as soon as I can. A little further down the road here, and just demonstrating a hand position change. I can still hold the tops of the bars. With this current configuration, it will depend on what drop bars you are using, but there is enough clearance with the Zwift Play and my fingers if I want to grab the bars there and do some climbing. A quick demo of the action bar access with Zwift Play, pressing up to pull it up on screen, arrow keys to get to what I need to, and selection there to get the heart rate and power on screen. Pulling that back up again, jump over to the new emotes, which are now stacked, and we can also ring the bell. A little further down the road and Repack Rush pops up, but it wasn't the default selection there of the route I was on. So using the right arrow key, I could select that immediately. And my little avatar will soon be on the new Repack Rush steering game, just off Titans Grove. Speeding our way through Repack Rush at 8 times normal speed. As mentioned, the steering is super responsive from the Zwift Play, but I wasn't able to grab all the time bonuses and hit all the boost sections, as I was still fighting that automatic steering that is applied in-game here through Repack Rush. So quite an interesting experience and a very, very busy time with the gear changes and steering and everything happening on the front of the bike. It was quite the 3 minutes 16, which I was credited 2 minutes 59 for with those bonuses. But that was, I believe, my fastest time on course. I can go and have a look at where I was globally there. And, okay, there's 2 of us, and I've set the #1 time there thanks to those bonuses. Option there of free ride or try again. Let's jump out into free ride, which becomes pretty lonely pretty quickly. So let's use the Zwift Play to teleport over to Coco Cadence. Selecting teleport, scrolling up to C. Okay, that looks like the one there with the most riders. Let's go. Again, hands have stayed on the bars. And I've jumped over to Coco with the teleport feature. Very, very handy. Now, you'll also notice up on the screen there, when people give me a ride on, it's now telling me that I can return that ride on with the Z button on screen there. So I press that, I'll return the ride on as one has been given to me. A quick demonstration in workout mode here of the FTP bias setting, accessible via those outside buttons, and they can bump up very, very quickly. Okay, 123 is a bit too high. Let's go back to 121 for a few minutes. Really, really handy to have access to that FTP bias setting. If you're having a good day on the bike, you want to bump up that session, you can do it immediately. Again, without removing your hands from the bars. Or if you're having a very bad day or ordinary day on the bike, you can also bump that down, still get your session done, but at a little lower intensity. Very handy. And finally, just a close-up look of the steering and how responsive that really is in-game. As I said early on, it's one of the most responsive steering systems that I've used. And next to no lag or no noticeable lag at all. And yes, the brake light does come on if you press those paddles inwards.
So the Zwift Play does exactly what Zwift claims it to do. That is allowing you full access to the in-game experience without the need to take your hands off the handlebars. So that's a tick from me there. One thing of note with Apple TV, these will take up 2 Bluetooth connections, 1 each, so you will need to pair these via the companion app if you're using Apple TV. These also have haptic feedback, which will be enabled in the near future. Now, I'm not quite sure where these are going to land with users out there, especially the hardcore Zwifters who have already got their pain cave set up with keyboards, mice, the companion app, steering devices, etc. All things that have enhanced the game experience with what's been available on the market to date. But I can see the appeal on these for people who have temporary Zwift setups, who pull out their bike in front of the television or set up a little pain cave in their garage without any benches or tables to put keyboards and mice and things like that. These definitely allow the access to the in-game experience without having to do this. And if you're an Apple TV user, there is no question about it, using these is a much better experience than using this. Look, I think the winning move for Zwift would be to sell the hardware with maybe a month or 2 subscription to Zwift, maybe even throw in a full year and somehow incentivize us to invest in this hardware. Even for existing users, I think that would be quite a welcome offer. Anyhow, let's see what they do with this when it hits the market in full, once it comes out of that beta testing phase, at which point, as I said before, it does bump the price of these up by $50, or euros, or pounds, depending on where you are. All right, with that, can you hear your thoughts on this? That's been my experience with the Zwift Play hardware controllers. If you found this informative, give this video a thumbs up, hit subscribe to be alerted of more videos uploaded to this channel, and we shall see you soon.